Hello and welcome to another webinar of the Green Skills for Deaf webinar series. Here we will see environmental protection and sustainability. Here is the content of what we will see on this webinar. We'll have a short introduction to environmental protection. We'll see some main environmental issues. We'll have an introduction to sustainability and we'll see the three pillars of sustainability. Then we'll move on to sustainable development goals. We'll see about sustainable consumption and production, the resource conservation, what role cities and communities play on sustainability and environmental protection. And then we'll see how sustainability applies in our daily life and in our professions and vocational. Starting with introductions to environmental protection, we'll see what environmental protection means. And environmental protection is about actively safeguarding the natural world to prevent pollution, conserve resources, and maintain biodiversity and ecosystems in general. It includes reduce air, water, and soil pollution, conserving forests, oceans, and wildlife habitats, preventing climate change and its impact, and ensuring natural resources are available for future generations and for our children and grandchildren. The key idea is that protecting the environment is the responsibility of everyone and not just scientists or governments. Here are some main environmental issues that you may hear again. We'll start with climate change. As you may know, the Earth is heating up and due to greenhouse gases, and this causes extreme weather. It may cause melting glaciers and rising sea levels. We'll have pollution. Air, water, and soil are contaminated by industry transport waste, and we're polluting this air, water, and soil. So we have negative impact on our environment and human health. We have the biodiversity loss. Species are disappearing and are being destroyed. Healthy ecosystems that provide food, medicine, clean air, and water are being destroyed. And through this, we are losing our biodiversity. We have resource depletion. We are using natural resources faster than what we actually, the time that we need to renew them. And examples of that is deforestation. By cutting trees, we are cutting trees faster than the speed that we are planting trees. Then we have waste generation. We have massive amounts of waste, including plastics, electronics, food, that pollute the earth, the water, the soil. And we have the deforestation and habitat loss, which basically by clearing forests and habitats, destroy wildlife homes and increase CO2 carbon emissions and cause soil erosions. Here we move on to see what sustainability is, and we'll have a short introduction to sustainability. Sustainability is about meeting our current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. It is based on three pillars: the economy, environment, and society. About the environment, the number one here, we have protecting ecosystems and using resources responsibly. Society is about promoting equality, health, education, and well-being. And economy is supporting responsible business and practices and long-term growth. The key idea of sustainability is that we need to think holistically and balance these three pillars that we mentioned before: ecological, social, and economical needs in our choices and actions. Here we can see again the three pillars of sustainability: environment, society, and economy. Environment, it's about protect natural ecosystems and use resources wisely to ensure a healthy planet for current and future generations. The society supports the well-being of all people through equality, education, and access to basic needs, creating fair and resilient communities. And economy is encourage responsible growth and sustainable business practices that generate wealth without harming people or the environment. We have here an example. A factory may be profitable, so we are affecting the economy, but it pollutes the rivers, so we have negative impact here on the environment and harm communities, and negative impact of society. So this example here is an unsustainable example. Here is a short introduction to Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are a global roadmap created by the United Nations to tackle the world's most urgent challenges. They guide countries, communities, and individuals to act responsibly, ensuring a healthy planet, fair societies, and sustainable economies. You can learn more about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the link here by clicking on it. And we can see some examples. It's a diverse, sustainable goal systems. For example, the United Nations aims to address zero hunger, also life on land, gender equality. So it's an overall overview of what it needs to be done in order to achieve sustainability. Now we are moving on to sustainable consumption and production. The way we produce and consume goods has big impact on the environment. As sustainable productions use too many resources, creates pollution and generate waste. On the other hand, sustainable consumption and production aim to use resources wisely and reduce waste and choose products that are eco-friendly. Key practices include use energy, water, materials efficiently. So for example, turn off devices when we are not using them, fix leaks to save water, avoid wasting resources. Also, recycling is another practice of sustainable consumption and production. Composting, reducing single-use plastics. Support circular economy practices is another practice of sustainability. For example, by repairing our broken items rather than buying all again and again new things, and also choosing eco-friendly products. Here, this slide speaks about resource conservation. Conserving resources means using what we need without wasting it. So future generations, like our children and grandchildren, also have clean water, energy, materials in general. Every action counts, and we should every day make the difference in our daily habits, so we will help the future generation. Here we have some key practices that we can do in order to reserve and conserve our resources. For water, we have examples like fix leaks, turn off taps when not in use, collect rainwater for gathering or cleaning, conserving water, reduce stress on rivers, lakes, and general ecosystems. About energy, some examples that we can do is turn off the lights, computers, devices, using energy efficient systems and renewable energy sources. About materials, rather than buying new things, we can reuse items, we can repair them, and we can recycle materials as well. And about biodiversity, it's really important as well. We should plant native trees and flowers and protect our ecosystem of our country and not disrespect it. So now what role the citizens play on this environmental protection and sustainability? Citizens are the foundation of environmental protections, and every person and the action and the habits of every person has an impact on sustainability. Being aware of your impact and taking responsibility empowers you to protect nature and support healthier communities. Key actions include save energy and water daily, reduce, reuse, and recycle, participate in community initiatives like cleanups or tree plantings, advocate for sustainable practices, and encourage people to hold and perform sustainable practices. And an example that we have here is a student-led recycling club, which basically this example not only reduces waste at school, but also inspires others, students and teachers to adopt greener habits. Role of communities. Community also plays a huge role on sustainability and environmental protection. By working together, schools, neighborhood, and organizations can develop projects that protect the environment and promote sustainability. Some key ways communities can make in order to make a difference are collective programs, for example, organizing recycling campaigns or community gardens. Education and awareness, it's really important because everything starts from education. By sharing knowledge and teach sustainable practices to children, then they will learn, and they will learn other people as well how to be more sustainable. We have collaboration and advocacy, partnered with local authorities or non-governmental organizations can implement big environmental projects. And here we also have an example. An urban community garden provides fresh produce and improves green spaces and teaches residents about sustainability while reducing the community's carbon footprint. Another sector that has major effect on sustainability and environmental protection is role of policies and governments. Governments and policymakers play a critical role in protecting the environment, supporting sustainable practices through rules, regulations, and incentives. They can guide citizens, businesses, and communities to reduce environmental harm and adopt greener habits. We can see more examples here. They can regulate pollution and emissions by limiting harmful chemicals, control waste disposal, and enforce air and water quality standards. They can promote renewable energy and conservation by supporting, for example, solar panels installation, wind turbines, and other clean energy sources. They can provide incentives for sustainability, offer subsidies, tax breaks, or grant to businesses and households. They can raise public awareness by launching campaigns, educational programs, and general platforms with information about sustainability and environmental protection. As we said, we can apply sustainability in our daily lives, and we should all of us do that. Sustainability is not only about big projects, it starts with choices we make every day. Some examples are listed here. For example, about energy, we can turn off lights, as we mentioned before. About transport, we can walk rather than taking a car to go somewhere. We can also use public transport or carpool to reduce carbon emissions. About waste, we can reduce single-use plastic. We can reuse some of our items rather than buying new. We can recycle. About food and shopping, we can buy local and seasonal food rather than importing food from other countries. And about water, we can take shorter showers, we can fix leaks, close the tap when we don't need it, and this kind of stuff. Here we can see how sustainability is applied in professions and vocational scenarios. Sustainability is relevant in many vocational and professional contexts. Applying green practices that works help protect the environment, improve efficiency, and also many times reduce costs as well. Here we have listed some examples in different professions that sustainability can have an impact. For example, in business and office work, we can use energy efficient equipment and digitize documents to save paper. In agriculture and farming, farmers can practice organic farming, conserve water, protect soil, and preserve biodiversity. On hospitality and food services, the people working on these sectors, they can reduce food waste, recycle, they use eco-friendly products, and minimize energy consumption in general. On industry and manufacturing, they can implement cleaner production methods, reduce emissions, CO2 levels, and manage waste responsibility. Here is some links that you can find more about what we discussed today. And as a summary, I just wanted to say that the key message is environmental protection and sustainability are more than concepts. They are a way of thinking, living, and acting in our daily lives. By learning about sustainability, you gain awareness and you are understanding what actions can impact the planet and how you can save our ecosystems. The responsibility is about recognize your role as a citizen, as a community member, and as a professional in protecting the environment. Also about empowerment, how to apply sustainable practices at home, school, and work. And here I just wanted to highlight, not to forget that sustainability is not about doing everything perfectly, but small consistent actions matter and contribute to global solutions. And your choices, what you consume, how you travel, how you go to work, everything affects the environment, and that you can make difference in environmental protection and sustainability. Thank you so much for watching this webinar.